The light from the sun, the wind that blasts our hillsides, and the waves that batter our coastlines have enabled huge technological advances in the renewable energy sector. However, the harsh reality is that Ireland is the second worst performing country in the EU when it comes to addressing climate change and tackling greenhouse gas emissions. Irish researchers are beginning to seize opportunities to capitalise on one of the fastest growing sections of the world's sustainable energy sector: bioenergy.
We're talking about the future of energy, and yet here I am standing in the middle of a forest. What's the connection? Well, I'm here to meet SEAI's Matthew Clancy to find out. So Matthew, I suppose the clue is in the surroundings, but what exactly is bioenergy?
So bioenergy is the energy we get when we burn biomass fuels, and biomass fuels come from things like trees and other organic materials like crops or even waste, food waste and animal manure. In Ireland, about 60% of the renewable energy we produce from bioenergy comes from forest and forest residues. Another 30% comes from wastes and agricultural residues, and the remainder is from purpose-grown energy crops.
Is it sort of like a fossil fuel in a way then, bioenergy, because you're burning natural resources, right?
Yes, but there's one key difference. When trees and crops and other plants grow, they absorb carbon from the atmosphere, and then when they're burnt to produce energy, they release it back. So a good analogy is to think of it like a sponge. All the plants and trees in the world are the capacity of the sponge to absorb carbon. And when we produce a little bit of energy, we squeeze that sponge a bit and lets out a little bit of CO2. And then when those plants grow back again, the sponge absorbs up that carbon once again. So overall, it's neutral. Whereas with fossil fuel, once you burn it, the carbon goes into the atmosphere and it'll stay there.
So it's a cyclical sort of thing, which makes it renewable.
Yes, exactly.
What are the benefits of bioenergy over other types of renewables?
I'd say one of the key ones is that bioenergy can be used in the heat transport and electricity sectors. So, for example, biofuels in aviation is one of the few solutions that are available for that sector to decarbonise.
You can actually use this energy that you've gotten from natural resources to fuel airplanes and trucks?
Yes, the latest technology in the area of biofuels, it's chemically the same as petrol or diesel that you could use. So
wow.
There's a lot of research in there at the moment. And even now, we're all driving around with about 5% of biofuels in our tanks. At the moment, 9% of our energy or thereabouts comes from renewable sources. 9%.
Is that all?
That's all. Much more is required. So I guess the most important target is the carbon reduction target. We've one for 2020 where we must reduce our carbon by 20% as compared to 2005, and that gets tougher for 2030. It's 30% below 2005 levels. The most recent projections from SEAI and the EPA show that it's a really hard challenge ahead to meet the 2020 targets. We're really up against it. But bioenergy is really important in any efforts that we do make. So we import about 69% of our energy, and that's almost entirely fossil fuel. By using bioenergy, we can become more self-reliant and energy independent. There's opportunities there to exploit our resource more.